I got the lavender oat milk latte from Starbucks. It was like their spring featured drink, and I really don't like it. I guess I just don't like drinking flowers very much, apparently. Hello, how are you? I hope that you're well. Today we're here to talk about books, more specifically audiobooks. I wouldn't say that I'm an expert on audiobooks. I haven't listened to an infinite number of audiobooks, but I have been listening to them pretty consistently for about 4 years, and I do have strong opinions of what makes an audiobook good and what makes it not good. And before that, I actually started listening to free short stories on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, even before I started listening to the library listening apps, which is primarily how I listen to audiobooks now, because it's all free and they're really good. And sometimes you have to wait in line, but a lot of times you can just get whatever book that you want to listen to in audio format, and it's great. Now let's get into what my favorite audiobooks are and why I think that you might enjoy them too. Now keep in mind that these are my personal opinions about what makes a good audiobook and why these specific books made the list, and you may disagree or agree with my opinions, but no matter how you feel, I hope that you leave this video feeling inspired to read more or inspired to listen to more audiobooks. Let's get started. First, we have Stardust by Neil Gaiman. And what makes the audiobook version of Stardust better than actually reading the book is that the audiobook is narrated by Neil Gaiman. And obviously Neil Gaiman is amazing, and it doesn't get better than listening to him read his audiobooks. I think that he narrates all of his audiobooks. I'm not 100% sure, but all of the ones that I've listened to by Neil Gaiman, he narrates as well, and it's awesome, really good. So let me tell you just a little bit about the story of Stardust. So Stardust is about a boy who goes on a journey and discovers a fallen star. Think along his journey, deceitful witches, gypsies, cozy small towns, and sky pirates. Stardust is a great audiobook, and it's not very long too, so definitely listen to Stardust in audiobook format if you haven't yet, and if you get the chance. It's so good. Right, next is Emma by Jane Austen. It's the Audible original edition specifically. So if you enjoy Jane Austen or appreciate her in any way, you have to listen to this Audible original rendition of Emma. It is read by a cast of characters, including Emma Thompson, and she is amazing as expected. Even if you have already read Emma or seen the movie adaptations, I still highly recommend listening to this specific Audible original edition because it's so fantastic, and I think you would like it. So as far as the story of Emma goes, Emma is definitely one of Jane Austen's most or one of her snobbiest characters or protagonists, and we get to follow Emma along her journey of playing matchmaker to her friends around her, and it's just one adventure and one laugh after the other. It's definitely a great audiobook. No, why am I still drinking this? I don't know, it's not good. Next is The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyl and Mr. Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson, the Audible original edition again. This one is narrated by Richard Armitage, who does an amazing job just expressing with his voice the depth of turmoil and emotion that are so pivotal in this classic story. You're probably familiar with this story, but in it we see the duality of good and evil in one man in just a highly suspenseful crime thriller, I guess you could say. The audiobook is amazing, so definitely check it out if you have Audible. It's really a gem. Next is The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. This is an amazing audiobook. I really enjoyed this one so much, and I didn't know what to expect at first, but I really appreciate Grady Hendrix's ability to perfectly balance true crime allusions, cheesy horror, and just a real depth of insight into human characteristics and emotions. So I think he just pulls it off so well. I loved the setting, the southern setting in this book. I loved the characters. They're very well-rounded, or not well-rounded, but they're They're very convincing characters, and the premise of a book club coming together to combine forces in order to fight for the good of their families. It might not sound that good, but it's really good, and I really enjoyed this one. It's a great audiobook. I highly recommend it if you also occasionally get in the mood for a cheesy horror, true crime-ish story with just great characters. The next one is Hamlet by Maggie O'Farrell. Now, allow me to spend a moment on this one because this is one of my new favorite books, and I listened to the audiobook, that's how I read it. So, Hamlet is, obviously, if you didn't know, Hamlet is Shakespeare's son, and I, as an English major, thought that I was concerned. I was concerned about this one, that it was going to be cheesy or that it was going to be very fan fiction-esque. And Maggie O'Farrell proved me completely wrong, and this book is so good. 5 stars. You get to experience each character in Shakespeare's family, which Shakespeare is never actually named in the whole entire book, but we get to experience each perspective of his different family members, and the narrator who reads the audio book version is able to somehow, just with the nuances in her voice, make it so easy to distinguish between the characters and which one that we're currently following from a first person perspective. It's so good. A mother's unfailing and just fierce love, and a father's heartfelt sense of loss, and all of these different things are shown so beautifully and beautifully written in this story. It's so good. Definitely check out the audiobook if you haven't read the book. I personally will be thinking about this book, the audiobook, because that's how I read it for a very long time in the best of ways. Next is M Train by Patti Smith. Now, Patti Smith is one of my favorite artists and writers ever. She's amazing. She herself narrates her audiobooks. It seems that this is a trend, that I really like authors who narrate their own audiobooks. But Patti Smith is narrating her own M Train. It's just a treat, and it's so good to listen to. As far as the story or what the book is about, let me just read you part of the Goodreads blurb. So M Train begins in the tiny Greenwich Village cafe where Smith goes every morning for black coffee, ruminates on the world as it is and the world as it was, and writes in her notebook. And then later, M Train is a meditation on travel, detective shows, literature, and coffee. So if that doesn't sound good to you, I don't know what will. So the next one is a book that I consumed in audiobook format that ended up being one of my new top reads. This is How to Love Your Daughter by Hila Blume. I believe it is translated from Dutch. I know it's translated, but I think I remember that it was originally written in Dutch. I personally loved this book so much, and maybe if you're not a mother, maybe you wouldn't love it as much. I don't know. Maybe skip it if you are not a mother, but also maybe don't skip it because it's so good, and I don't think you have to be a mother in order to enjoy it. The audiobook is beautifully narrated, and in the story we see just a mother's relationship with her daughter, basically just little snippets from her life and her relationship with her daughter, and why things that might have led to a certain estrangement in the current day. Moving on. Let's end with a short story. This short story is The Diamond as Big as the Ritz by F. Scott Fitzgerald. This one's just a fun one. Fitzgerald writes about a college boy who goes home with his friend on a break from school, and they end up happening upon the most luxury ever fathomable, and just their adventures at that place. Outrageous and just fun. So, and let's end with a bonus children's audiobook. This one is narrated and written by Judy Blume. I think it's book number 2 in a series. It's called, otherwise known as Sheila the Great. Judy Blume narrates all of the Fudge books, and she's just a great narrator and does just a great job with being so convincing, playing a kid and remembering what it was like to be a kid. Like, things that you haven't thought about in so many years will come back to mind as you listen to or read a Judy Blume book, and she's just so good at drawing out those certain things that are hard to remember but are still locked in your memory. So if you have kids, or if you know a kid who's looking for an audiobook to consume somehow, definitely recommend to them Judy Blume narrating her own books. So good. All right, I hope that you got some good suggestions from these audiobooks, and that you just feel inspired to read more or to listen to more audiobooks. So thank you for watching. Let me know what some of your favorite audiobooks are, and maybe I can add them to my list. If this video was helpful, remember to like it and consider subscribing as well to support this channel. Thanks for watching. Have a lovely day.